Okay, I wanted to start off by saying I think the Zach Lee signing was a mistake because I would have signed for $5.2 million, and you could have saved $50,000. No.
Well, you know what? Let me answer that. I could have signed a player. I won't tell you who it was for $1.8 million instead of Kershaw for $2.3, and that guy isn't worth a flip. So I'm glad I gave Kershaw 2.3.
No.
Hopefully we'll be glad we gave Zach the money instead of you, Jared.
Oh, well.
You've never seen his fastball.
Exactly.
And you don't want to either.
No, you don't. No. I noticed that Zach was something of a different animal than the previous pitchers you'd taken. Aaron Miller, power fastball, power slider. Ethan Martin, Chris Withrow, Clayton Kershaw, power fastballs, power curveballs. With Zach, at the time of the draft, he said he sat around 90.
Right.
I've read that his best secondary offering is actually his changeup. Mm-hmm. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he's got a real good changeup, but I would say it's not accurate. No, I think it's breaking. I'd say his breaking ball is really coming along pretty good.
Would you say that the opportunity to draft him trumped your the normal characteristics you look for in a really power arm, strong arm strength guy?
No, because he's a power arm guy. I mean, he the difference that I think you're talking about, and that maybe is people misunderstood, is the fact that, see, like I'll take Billy Z for example, and Kershaw. They were power arm guys out of high school, but they had secondary pitches, but they also had a feel to pitch. They were real fast and polished. Okay, Withrow and was very polished also, but Martin wasn't as polished. Martin was a thrower, more of a thrower, had a good breaking ball. He hadn't pitched a lot. So you're taking an athletic guy with a power arm that's going to take a little longer to get there. Zach was probably one of the best combinations of having the ability to have a power fastball, because he sat at 92 when you drafted him, but out here, I mean, he consistently hits 94, 95. So he runs it up to 94, 95. I mean, we saw 95 out of him in high school, but his comfort zone will be 92, 93 right now. But he's got a very, very good arm. So I consider him a power pitcher, but he's ahead of the most guys in terms of field of pitch and how he handles the spotlight, makeup-wise and all that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I wouldn't say he's out of the norm for me. The thing that was out of the norm was being able to take a player that we thought should have been a much higher pick and be able to do what we did. That was out of the norm.
Right, because I saw the video of the draft room on draft day with you frantically watching the draft board, watching who's being called, praying that Lee was getting to you. How early were you on him in the process?
We liked him going into the season. He was a top guy on our list. We have a pre-draft meeting, what I call a preseason meeting, like in January or February. He was the number one guy on our list going into the season.
Overall.
We were targeting him overall for us. I mean, we really loved him going into the season, and then we came out and I won't say he did not disappoint. Obviously, guys like Tyon and the other guys that went ahead, we knew weren't getting to us, so we didn't. I'm a believer, a proponent in not spending as much time on them, so we spend time on guys we're getting or have a chance to. Take that with a grain of salt when I'll give you a ranking like that. But we were on him real early. That's the kind of player he was and stuff. And in the past, we've been on players that we'd have liked to have been able to do stuff with, that we've drafted, David Price being one, and different guys. So when you have a little bit of a track record of drafting those guys and asking to be able to do something with them, it helps you finally when you're able to come up with exactly and say, okay. And the strategy behind it was, like I told everybody in draft, I was very, very open, very honest about it. I said, to me, the talent that he brings versus what I could have taken at 28 was night and day. And if we didn't sign him, I knew this draft is an excellent draft. This is a great draft to have extra picks. So I wasn't afraid of having the pick this year, because at the time everybody said, "Oh, bummer, we didn't sign Zach Lee." But the reality is, if we didn't, this year we would have 2 picks, and we'd have an excellent chance at a really good player this year, because this year's draft is much deeper than last year's.
Who are you going to take?
This year?
Yeah.
Not not sure yet. I've got my mind on about 8 of them.
8 of them, wow.
Yeah, right now. That's in our mix.
Right.
That's in our mix. But we have to get out there and see where they're going to fall and stuff. But yeah, Zach, we hope is going to be everything we think he's going to be. I know mentally he's off the chart.
And you spent more in 2010 than you ever had.
Right.
You gave over slot bonuses to guys like Jock Peterson, Derek Cohn, Scott Schebler. Do you see that trend continuing this year, in this year's draft, with the possibility of the new CBA reaching agreement to install hard slotting?
Yeah, I would say that, I would say that we're certainly going to make every effort to be able to do those type of things. But the thing to keep in mind too, the players have to. I'm not one that just goes and spends money. You can give me $10 million if there's only $7 million, and this is hard sometimes for the fans to understand. Is maybe the best way I can describe it for you guys is like this: if you're marketing guys, and I tell you guys to go out and you got Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, and Mr. Pibb. And I said, look, I want you guys to get me the rights to market these in our place. And you come back and you bring me Mr. Pibb. And I said, what the heck? Why did you get Coke? And you say, well, I didn't have a chance to get Coke because there was a draft. And guess what? Somebody else got Coke first, and somebody else got Pepsi second, and somebody else got... And so I'm left with Mr. Pibb. I don't want to compare a player necessarily to Mr. Pibb at 28. But my point is the reality of the draft, and when you study draft history, is it's a hell of a lot different at 28 than it is at 3. It just is. And the fans need to understand that. And so, I'm a realist, and I know what my odds are a lot less at 28 of getting a quality frontline impact guy than it is if I'm picking 1, 2, or 3 in the draft. I mean, when we picked this highest we've ever picked was 7, we get Kershaw. So I don't know if that analogy helps a little bit, but it's and my point getting back to is you're subject to the talent level of the draft, and hopefully you have ownerships and people that respect that and say, you know what, yeah, we can give him whatever money we need because we know he's gonna get the money back if there's not anybody else to spend the money on. I mean, you can't create a player. The draft only produces so many players. It is what it is. This draft class coming up is going to produce 150 roughly, and that's the numbers it's consistently been throughout the history of the draft. And so, if you could look into that crystal ball, yeah, we know who those 150 are. We know who the 30 best were. That's what we try to do. But it's something that I was an advocate of back in the day when we obviously gave LaRoche over slot at the 39th pick. That's why we drafted David Price and guys like that. I was hoping to do the same, and we weren't able to. And ownership's been, last year was outstanding with it. I think we showed them that we've been diligent with the money, and taking a moment to brag on our scouting staff and people. I mean, you look at we're the only team in baseball that had a guy in the top 100 that signed for $15,000 like Ruby De La Rosa. So I mean, we're certainly doing our best with less than that, and I think that we would, certainly welcome the opportunities to do what we did last year. It was great. And I think that's one reason why I say that draft is really deep, because if, for example, Zach Lee gets hurt, whatever happens, you have Jock Peterson, you have Schebler, you do have some guys in there that you really like that should have been higher picks.